What is up, everyone? Today we got some very exciting news to unpack about Season 12 of Go Battle League, the Season of Light. We got a full season schedule, which includes a bunch of new cups as well as some old favorites returning, 2 new fast moves, 8 move rebalances, and 33 moveset updates. We're gonna cover it all in today's video. Season 12 will start on Thursday, September 1st at 1 PM PDT. And like usual, the first time you open the Go Battle League tab after this time is when you also get your Season 11 end of season reward. So if you care about gaining as much Stardust from that reward as possible, make sure you pop a star piece before you open the Go Battle League tab after this time. The way they've scheduled this season is a little different than Season 11. In Season 11, every open meta or limited meta was only there for 1 week before switching to the next. But in this season, we'll have every open meta for 2 weeks straight before switching to the next. And then we have 1 week special cups in between. Starting with Little Jungle Cup Remix from September 1st to September 8th, which is just Little Jungle Cup with the 3 most used Pokemon banned. Those are Skorupi, Cottonee, and Ducklet. I'm honestly extremely relieved we won't see Cottonee and Ducklet again in a Little Cup. And as an addition, they've banned Salandit, which I love. It definitely wasn't one of the most used Pokemon, but it's a very inaccessible Pokemon, and it would have been absolutely busted. So great ban there. Then from September 8th until September 15th, we'll have Psychic Cup, which, as the name suggests, has only Psychic Pokemon allowed, and Mew banned, which is a great ban as it would absolutely destroy this meta with Shadow Claw. Without Mew, the meta looks sorta like this. I think it's gonna be a bit of an RPS loop between Shadow Guard of War, Bronzong, and Malamar, which I'm not too excited for, but there are some decent core breakers here too to these 3. In like Metagross does fine there, Victini is gonna do fine there, especially, which is something we're gonna get into later. Quick Attack is gonna get a buff, which will definitely help out Victini in this meta. What else? Oh yeah, Hypno, of course, gonna be very good. We got, Charge Beam Jirachi. I'm not sure if that's the way, but, this is kind of like Fighting Cup, except Psychic moves are resisted by everyone. Whereas in Fighting Cup, you were just countering everything down. So I don't expect this to be like an extremely balanced meta, just like Fighting Cup was. But I do feel like it's gotta be better than Fighting Cup, at least. And since it's only there for 1 week, I don't really. Starting September 15th, we're gonna have 2 weeks of Ultra League combined with Weather Cup in the first week, which will be our first ever Ultra League limited meta. Only fire, water, ice, and rock Pokemon will be allowed, which means the meta will look something like this. With Credilli on top, followed by Abomasnow, Swampert, bunch of waters, Ludicolo very high up. Walrein pretty high too, but Walrein, which we're gonna get into later, will get a nerf. So probably not gonna be as present in this meta as this ranking would imply. This is a bunch. Let's scroll through this a little bit. Ton of water, ton of ice, and some rock. Not that much rock actually, it's mainly just Credilli, a bunch of Excel Pokemon. If you wanna really, participate well in this meta, start grinding that Credilli, I guess, because it is looking very, very strong. Though there are definitely some good answers too in Alolan Sandslash. Well, that's basically it, I guess, since Abomasnow too, but those are also all Excel. Regice could be good, but I guess not the best Credilli answer either. Very interesting meta. I am seeing a ton of Excels though, which is a bit of a bummer, but luckily we do have the regular Ultra League during it as well, so you don't have to play this. And for those who don't have those Excel Pokemon, the week after we will actually get Ultra League Premier Classic. Classic Leagues are returning for this season, starting with Ultra League Premier Classic, starting at September 22, which means Ultra Premier Classic, basically Ultra League, no legendaries, no XL Pokemon. Speaking of no XL Pokemon, week after we're gonna get Master League Premier Classic, which again is no legendaries, no XL Pokemon, but this time in the Master League. Starting October 6th, we'll get a new meta, the Evolution Cup, which is a pretty interesting meta. Only Pokemon that have evolved at least once and can evolve again will be eligible. So that means Pokemon like Vigoroth, because it evolves from Slakoth and can evolve still to Slakin. Mons like Nidorino. What else? Oh, Haunter. These last three actually are getting a bit of a moveset update, which we'll get into later. Just like Dragonair. This is a pretty hard meta to simulate, but just on first thought, it's gonna be a lot of Vigoroth, a lot of Dragonair, a lot of Ivysaur. I think Haunter will be a good player too. This is gonna be a real interesting one, to be honest. And finally, you know, a meta where those middle tier evolutions get to really shine, because they usually don't really get that opportunity. Starting October 13th, we'll get all 3 open leagues, followed by 2 weeks of Great League and a week of Halloween Cup in the Great League and Halloween Cup in the Ultra League. So our second limited Ultra League meta. We've had Halloween Cup in the past, and it's just gonna be the same thing with Poison Bug, Ghost Dark, and Fairy Pokemon allowed. So the ranking does look pretty similar to what we're used to from Halloween Cup, except just looking at these top ones, I think our new friend, Runigerus, which we'll get into later, might make a wave here too. This is Great League. Looking at the Ultra League, things might get pretty interesting too. Well, interesting. We have Nidoqueen on top, which is kind of a bummer. When we get Giratina, we get Drapion. Again, these XL limited metas, honestly, they just turn, or these XL, oh man, these Ultra limited metas, they turn into XL limited metas quite quickly, sadly, for those who don't have them. But that's why I'm also happy where we have these like during Great League as well, so those who don't have XL at least can play Great League. But yeah, I think that's just the nature of Ultra League, unfortunately. I think for those who have the XLs, this looks like a pretty decent meta. I think Nidoqueen is a bit too strong, but we got answers too as well in Giratina. We got Dragalge, which is decent. We got Gengar, Fortress, Genesect, Chill. Interesting. And I think our good friend Runigerus could make some waves here too. So I'm looking forward to both of these Halloween Cups. After that, we're gonna have 2 weeks of Ultra League combined with Willpower Cup, which is another Great League limited meta where only Fighting, Psychic, and Dark types are allowed, and they banned Gardevoir. Thank goodness, because that would have destroyed absolutely every Fighting and Dark type, and most Psychic types too. Just looking at the rankings right now, though, we have another problem Pokemon, though. Sneasler is looking to be absolutely ridiculous in this meta, which is a bit sad, since, well, it's basically, you're basically unable to get it, let's be real. So, yeah, hopefully, honestly, I do hope Niantic still decides to ban this thing, since it would suck. This was really the best Pokemon in the meta when it is so ineligible to all other players. Besides that, though, the meta looks pretty fun. Rapidash Galarian on number 2, and that's with Psycho Cut. It's gonna get Fairy Wind. It's gonna get Fairy Wind, which will make it much better versus some of these Dark types. That's interesting. We got Charm, okay, we got some Charmers up top as well. Okay, that's gonna be interesting. We do got Drapion, though. Drapion's looking very, very solid versus everything, even the Charmers. We can use our Quillfish and Overcoil here. Raichu, always love it when Raichu is available. Love when Sableye is good. Looks like an interesting meta. Looks like a very interesting meta. It might become a bit of an RPS circle between, well, Fighting beats Dark. Dark beats Psychic. Psychic beats Fighting. But there are some core breakers here. Like, you know, Manabuzz is Dark type, but can beat the Fighting types. Rapidash is a Psychic and Fairy, which makes it very interesting. Mew can just run a zillion different moves. We got a Dark type Quillfish, which can beat the Charm users. Interesting. So this is gonna be a fun one, I think. After that, we got a week of Ultra Premiere, which I am so happy is coming back. That basically means Ultra without the legendaries. XL Pokemon are allowed, which personally I like because I did grind for a lot of the XL Pokemon, so I do enjoy being able to use those. But no legendaries is nice because we don't got the insanely bulky Pokemon like Registeel and Cresselia in there, and also Giratina is just annoying. So with those gone, I think Ultra League is a little better. So I'm looking forward to that. Then the week afterward, we got 2 more weeks of Master League combined with Element Cup Remix in the first week. Basically, again, just the same as Element Cup with Fire, Water, Grass type Pokemon allowed in the little cup format, so CP 500 or below. And they banned 3 Pokemon, Chinchou, Colony, Ducklet, since they were the most used. And Salandit, since it's just absolutely busted and illegible. Again, a great ban here to make it a little more fair. In the final week, we got Catch Cup Season of Light Edition. And normally I absolutely despise Catch Cup because what we had before is where it was Catch Cup, but was only like in that week. You know, everything you caught in that week. But for this Catch Cup, it's actually everything you caught within the Season of Light. So starting September 1st until end of November is what you'll be able to use in Catch Cup Season of Light Edition. So, you know, if you catch any good Pokemon during the season, you'll be able to use them, try them out. I think that will be good. Next up, we got 2 Go Battle days on the schedule, which is a bit sad. I was hoping for more, but we got 2. First one being on Saturday, October 1st. Basically, like usual, we got 20 sets on that day. This one has a bonus of 4 times dust from win rewards. And we're gonna get a timed research in which you'll be able to get some XP, rare candy, a watch and bracelet for your avatar inspired by Guzma. That's this guy right here. Look at that drip. That's actually pretty cool. And an elite charge GM. This will be done during Master League and Master Premier Classic. Then on Sunday, November 6th, we'll get Go Battle Day Miltank. Again, 4 times dust, 20 sets, and we will get Miltank from reward encounters in between 11 AM and 2 PM local time on Go Battle Day. So if you do your sets anywhere outside of that 11 to 2 PM window, you won't get Miltank, but do within and you'll get Miltank with an increased chance of shiny as well. Besides that, there will also be a timed research too, which will again give you XP, rare candy, a Miltank encounter, and elite charge GM. So getting 2 free elite charge GMs this season is quite nice. It is also, yeah, both elite charge GMs. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And this will happen during Ultra League and the Willpower Cup. Next up, the encounter rewards for this season. They look pretty basic. These are the guaranteed rewards we'll get at each rank, or some of the ranks, starting with Pinsir at rank 1 because it is Guzma's signature Pokemon. And then we got Mienfo, which is so useless. These 3 are pretty nice, so I like Gumi. I want the hundos for those, so I'm glad they're in the rewards. Noibat, it's okay too. And of course, Pikachu Libre as usual. The standard encounters, again, pretty standard, really standard. I'll let you make your own opinion on those. Personally, I like that Phantom is in there because we can get them for PvP. They're normally quite rare in the wild, so it's nice that we're getting them. Miltank too for PvP. You might not have one ready, but it's gonna get a buff, so you know, maybe it's good. It's good that it's in the rewards, just like Axew. I want the hundo for that, and Gumi too, so I like those. Lickitung is nice for PvP too. Skarmy is good for PvP. Frisch is good for PvP. I think the rewards are decent. They're not like amazing, but I think they're decent enough. The drip rewards look pretty good. I like these pants. I like this shirt. I like the. Honestly, I think this is maybe one of the better outfits we've had, and I think the pose is pretty cool too. I wonder if it's gonna be animated again. Probably will be, since all the previous legend poses have been animated. So I would assume it is. I'm curious to see how it's gonna be animated. I guess we'll see. Then, of course, like every season, we're getting Elite Charge TM at rank 19 and then Elite Fast TM as an end of season reward. I really like how many Elite Charge TMs we're getting. We're getting 2 during the season, during Go Battle Days, 1 at the end, and only 1 Elite Fast TM. And I think that's a good balance. I do think that Elite Charge TMs are much more useful than Elite Fast TMs. So I love how they're putting more focus towards giving us Elite Charge TMs. Alright, now for the real juicy stuff. Something we've probably all been waiting for such a long time. New moves, moveset changes, and move rebalances. It's finally here. We got a ton, a ton of them, alright? And I'm gonna keep it short. I could probably talk about this stuff for hours. For hours, and I don't want this to be a 12-hour video, so we're gonna rapid fire through these things. If you want a more in-depth look at these moves, I will definitely be making more videos in the future soon about these, so subscribe. And if you are watching this video like right when it goes live or like an hour or two after it goes live, come check me out on Twitch. I'll be live like right now, just covering all the moveset changes. We're gonna dive deep into every single move live, alright? So come hang out there, maybe share your own insights on the moveset as well. Anyway, we're gonna hop right in. We got 2 new fast moves to start things off. First off, double kick, a new fighting fast move. In the official blog, we only see the damage, 8 damage, but the actual stats have already been data mined. Well, the actual stats, data mines aren't like official, alright? So this is still speculative, but it's very high chance it's gonna be these stats. The stats that were data mined were 8 damage, 12 energy, and a 3-turn move, which would mean 4 energy per turn. That's very, very high damage. Think of Snarl, but slightly more damage, slightly less energy. That's double. It's not as good as counter, which is honestly a good thing because we don't need another move like that. But if we compare it to other fighting moves, it's very, very good. Has the highest energy gain, well tied with Karate Chop, and slightly higher damage than Karate Chop even. Does this mean double kick is just a better move than Karate Chop? Not really. Since generally 2-turn moves are just slightly better than 3-turn moves because you're shorter duration and generally it has more benefits than being a 3-turn duration. So I would rate these about the same. You do have more EPT than counter in like 0.5 more, but you do lose like 1.34 damage per turn. So counter is definitely still better, but double kick, really good move, especially considering what type of Pokemon can get it. Something like a Hitmonlee, which is good coverage, can get it. Lopunny can get it, which has like Fire Punch and Hyper Beam and Focus Blast. Could be fun. Well, it's actually getting that, so could be fun. The Source of Justice, Terrakion, Verzion, Cobalion can get it, which will be a good buff. There's a ton of fighting Pokemon that can't learn counter, that can learn double kick, and it would just be a very good addition to their moveset. Next up, we got a move that a lot of you have probably been waiting for, Fairy Wind. It is a fairy type Mudshot. At least according to the data mines. Again, data mines are just speculative. They could still change, but according to the data mine right now, it's looking like a fairy type Mudshot, which is very, very interesting. It's basically the complete opposite of Charm, and I mean the complete opposite of Charm. Charm has insanely high damage per turn and low energy per turn, but Fairy Wind has very, very low damage per turn, where to the point where it almost doesn't even matter that it's a fairy type, and very high energy per turn. What I mean by it doesn't even matter, like, it's even to a dark type, Fairy Wind is not gonna do that much damage, which might actually be the move's downfall in a way, since like you might not even really be able to knock out a Sableye just using Fairy Winds. You're gonna have to use a good very fast move as well to knock it out, which unfortunately, or I mean charge move, which unfortunately there just aren't that many fairy or good fairy charge moves out there. However, I still think it's going to be very good. There's a lot of fairies out there that, well, don't learn Charm and can run Fairy Wind, or that, well, they could also run Fairy Wind, and it would just be an interesting shake-up for them to be able to use the charge moves more rather than just charming everything down. For Fairy Wind, it's really gonna matter like what Pokemon they give this move, which we're gonna get in later, because there's actually some pretty good Pokemon that are gonna get this, and I'm very excited for it. Next up, moveset rebalances. Some buffs, some nerfs. Let's get into it. Starting with two nerfs that, well, I would assume most people are excited for. Zap Cannon nerf, Icicle Spear nerf. Are we gonna see less Registeel at walrein because of it? Let's hope so. Honestly, I don't think the Zap Cannon nerf will have that much effect though. It will have a little bit of effect, depending on how big the nerf is, alright? Basically, the only thing that's gonna happen to Zap Cannon is that the chance to lower your opponent's attack will no longer be guaranteed. What the odds will be, we don't know. I would assume at best it's gonna be like 50% now, but they could lower it even more if they wanted to. But I would assume somewhere around 50%, which would mean that Registeel is still very meta. I also don't think I'm a huge fan of this type of nerf, just because it's just more RNG. Like, in half the games, Registeel is not gonna be nerfed. It's just gonna be as good as it was, because you get the attack drop every single time. Then in the other games, it's just gonna be a Tin Man without an attack drop. That's it. And it's just gonna be a bit luck dependent, which is unfortunate. But at the very least, this will probably nerf its usage a tad, which is a good. Then Icicle Spear is gonna get its energy cost increased. This should have a huge effect, because previously getting to the Icicle Spears in 5 Powder Snows, and then 4 Powder Snows, and then 5 Powder Snows was just absolutely ridiculous. Besides that, being able to stack an Icicle Spear plus an Earthquake, stupid. That won't be possible anymore as the energy cost is getting increased. I would assume to 40. I think to 45 would just make walrein completely unusable. 40 would still make it good enough to be used, but not as overpowered as it is now. Next up, rollout. The energy generation is gonna get decreased. A nerf for rollout, a move we never saw before. How outrageous, right? That's what I thought when I first read it. But rollout's actually gonna get added to a couple Pokemon, which we'll get into later, which, if they'd been given rollout with the old stats, would have probably been a bit too busted. So I think this is probably a good nerf to make before adding it to those. Then the 3 boosting move, Ancient Power, Ominous Wind, Silver Wind, had a 1 in 8 chance of boosting both your stats double, which was just extremely strong, especially in Master League. Giratina, Ominous Winds boosts, and the game is just over, basically. What they've decided to do is to lower, the chance stays the same, but the amount you boost is once instead of twice, which will definitely help. And besides that, because of that, like, Ancient Power and Silver Wind would basically be useless, they've also decided to up the power of both of these, which I think is a good idea. Now Pokemon like Relicanth might be able to use Ancient Power again. Silver Wind might be useful on like Venomoth now, and Ominous Wind was always useful on Giratina. Like, you don't want to up the power of Ominous Wind, because then Giratina would just be absolutely broken in Master League. So I liked that they only decided to up the power on Ancient Power and Silver Wind, and kept it the same on Ominous Wind. Then 2 normal moves getting buffed. Quick Attack and Tackle, both getting their energy generation increased. If this is really gonna buff anything will depend on the size of the energy generation increase, but if it's a sizable increase on Tackle, like Greedent or Munchlax could really benefit. And for Quick Attack, we got a lot of Pokemon that will benefit, like Diggersby, Victini, Virizion in Ultra League would be very interesting with a Quick Attack buff, and more. But it's really gonna depend on how large the increase is. Next up, the moveset updates. It's just such a wow, such a beautifully long list. I'm just gonna rapid fire through them today, but if you want more in-depth look, again, subscribe to the channel, go to my Twitch, we'll have more information for you there. Let's just get started. Starting with Nidorina, will learn Thunderbolt. Not gonna have that big of an effect on the open meta, but will be good in the Elite Evolution Cup. Same as Nidorino. Ice Beam is good coverage for this thing. Will be good in the Evolution Cup. I don't expect to see it much in the open meta. Nidoking with Double Kick is interesting. Nidoking has always been much worse than Nidoqueen, just because it doesn't have Poison Fang, and it really doesn't have any cheap moves besides like Sandtomb. But now that it learns Double Kick, which is a very high energy generating move, it's actually going to be able to get to those expensive moves it has. It has like Earthquake, Earth Power, Mega Horn, Sludge Wave, and with Double Kick, you might actually be able to reach him. I don't think it's going to be any good in the open meta, but we might see like a limited meta where it will be good. Just like Arcanine. Arcanine previously had like Crunch, Wild Charge, Flamethrower, which was a pretty versatile moveset, and now it's also going to learn Psychic Fangs, which is a bit cheaper. I don't think it will change much for Arcanine, but just gives it more variety. And, you know, who doesn't like Arcanine? So any potential move they can add to this thing, I'm happy with, because it might actually see some play in some limited metas now. Tentacruel, gonna learn Scald. Tentacruel with Poison Jab just took so long to get to those expensive charge moves like Hydro Pump, like Blizzard. Now gonna learn a cheap water move to give it some more play against the ground types. That's a good addition. Galarian Rapidash already learned Psycho Cut, and now it's gonna learn Fairy Wind, which is basically Psycho Cut but Fairy. Gonna give Galarian Rapidash an easier time versus dark types, which is definitely a much needed. Haunter, again, I don't think we're gonna see too much in the open meta, but for the Evolution Cup, Ice Punch will help a ton to deal with some of the dragons, and maybe even in the open meta, we might see more Haunter now, because Shadow Punch, Ice Punch, kind of deadly. It's kind of deadly. It won't pack as much of a punch as with Sludge Bomb or Shadow Ball. Actually, you might even get rid of Shadow Punch now. Maybe. Ice Punch, good coverage. I like it, I like it. Marowak, Rock Slide, again, good coverage previously. Regular Marowak only had ground moves, so it could do nothing against the flyers. With Rock Slide, it at least has play. However, it's running Mud Slap, which means it gets to the moves extremely slow, so it still won't be good, but at the very least, a little bit more coverage from Marowak might actually see some play in a limited meta. Hitmonlee is getting Double Kick. Hitmonlee is a very interesting, well, not really interesting moveset. It will now learn Double Kick. If previously it learned like Low Kick, which of course is shit, but has Stone Edge and Close Combat as charge moves. So has some very hard hitting charge moves and a very fast energy generating quick move now, which, well, given Hitmonlee's like lackluster stats, it still won't be that good. But at least it's going to be very, very fun, especially in limited metas. It's going to be the fighter to take out flyers with because of Stone Edge. Next up, Galarian Weezing, which I'm personally extremely excited about. Galarian Weezing has a very interesting charge move pool with Overheat, with Play Rough, and, well, Sludge. Sludge is shit, but Overheat is super cool. With Fairy Wind plus Overheat, you actually beat Registeel in the Zero Shield, and you can also beat it in the One Shield if you bait. So that's quite nice. Galarian Weezing will be sort of a core breaker to the Altaria Registeel core, which is quite nice. It won't be like amazing versus Steel types, but at least it's gonna be a fairy that has play versus Steel types, which has been kind of unheard of before this. That's cool. Dragonair gonna run Body Slam, which is quite a good buff here. It's now gonna have two like charge moves that it can get to very quickly. And Aquatail on Body Slam, this will help a ton in the Evolution Cup. Then another super exciting one, Dragonite with Superpower. We've been teased with this moveset a long time ago when they polled everyone about what community they would like to see. Superpower Dragonite was one of the options. It's the option I rallied for, but it didn't end up winning, so we didn't get it. But now we are finally getting it, and I couldn't be more excited. This thing is going to be huge in a Master League because of it. It's going to be really good in the Ultra League, probably. And it might even have play in the Great League now, because a dragon with a lot of play versus Steel types because of Superpower will be quite good. I don't think it's going to be unbalanced in any way just because Dragonite has very lackluster stats in the limited CP metas. And even in Master League, it has lackluster stats compared to some of the legendaries. So it's not going to be overpowered, which is why it could really use this coverage, this very unique coverage for a Dragon type. And I'm very excited to see this thing get played every single league now. Oh, Ledian. Ledian is an extremely bulky bug flying type with absolutely no play against the Steel types until now, since they gave it Dynamic Punch. Will it be good in the open meta? Hell no. I don't expect it. But will it be fun? Yes, I think so. And it will definitely have play in some limited metas now. Ledian does have to be Excel in order for it to really shine in any Great League meta. So get those Aleta by XLs, everyone. It will be a fun Pokemon to run for sure. Lantern will absolutely be top meta again with Surf now. Spark, Surf, Thunderbolt will probably be the moveset you're now gonna run always, or maybe even Water Gun. Just gives Lantern a much quicker move to get to. Previously, his cheapest move was Thunderbolt at 55 energy. Now there's Surf at 40 energy, which will give Lantern a ton more play versus Pokemon like Nidoqueen and Galarian Stunfisk, which have now been very common in the meta. Jumpluff is also gonna get Fairy Wind, which is quite interesting. Jumpluff, of course, already has access to Bullet Seed, which is a very high energy generating move of grass typing, of course. Now it's gonna have Fairy Wind too, another very high energy generating move. I don't think it's gonna have that much impact on Jumpluff. However, Jumpluff also learns Dazzling Gleam. So with Fairy Wind and Dazzling Gleam, might have some play against like Altaria, Mandibuzz, which will be quite fun if like the Flying Cup ever comes back. For sure though, it's gonna have some play in limited metas, as most limited metas where Jumpluff is available also have like Mandibuzz or Altaria, since it's a flying type. So I think we will definitely see Fairy Wind Jumpluff in some limited metas. Next up, we got Espeon, which will learn Psychic Fangs, which is actually pretty big for Espeon since it never really had a cheap charge move, and that was a 35 energy move in Psychic Fangs to go along with its Community Day Shadow Ball. I think Espeon will be really good in the Psychic Cup because of that. Another Psychic Pokemon, Girafarig, is also getting Psychic Fangs added to the move pool, in addition to Double Kick, which just gives Girafarig a very interesting moveset. It already had Confusion, and now it also has Double Kick as an option for that higher energy gain. And it now has a quicker charge move in Psychic Fangs. Previously, it had Thunderbolt and Psychic as its cheapest and best moves, and now having Psychic Fangs in addition to that will definitely improve Girafarig. Not that much to where it is meta, but we might actually see it in the Psychic Cup now, especially since it also has Tackle. If Tackle gets a big enough buff, maybe Tackle Girafarig could be a thing in the Psychic Cup. Next up, the absolute reason Rollout got nerfed. Dunsparce and Miltank will both be getting Rollout. They already had good charge moves and bulk. They're both very bulky Pokemon of pure normal typings, not many weaknesses besides counter. Dunsparce already learns Rock Slide Run, which is very good coverage. Now we'll be able to learn Rollout, which even with a slight energy decrease will still probably charge up pretty quickly. And Miltank has Body Slam, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam. It has an insane moveset. These two, I think, will be instant meta after this update. Who won't be instant meta is probably Steelix. It's learning Psychic Fangs, which is an interesting addition to his moveset, especially running Dragon Tail. It didn't really have any like cheap charge moves to get to before, with Crunch being its cheapest move at 45, now Psychic Fangs at 35, which will definitely help out Steelix. However, do you really want to drop Crunch? Do you really want to drop Earthquake? I don't know, it's going to be tough. It still gets outclassed by all the other Steel types. So in the Open League, we still won't see Steelix, but it's going to be an interesting addition for some of the limited. Mawile will also learn Fairy Wind, which will make Mawile quite an interesting Pokemon. It has so many moves now. Fire Fang, Ice Fang, Bite, Astonish, I think. And now Fairy Wind, that's 5. That's a lot of moves. It's a lot of moves. Will Fairy Wind be that good on Mawile? I don't know. Fairy Wind is extremely low damage, so having Power Punch with it is not going to be that effective. It will make Mawile extremely bait dependent if you need to Power Punch bait and then hit something with a Play Rough or an Iron Head or something. So I think Fairy Wind will have some play on Mawile, but in general, I think the Fangs, like Fire Fang, Ice Fang, will be more useful as they get more use out of that Power Punch boost. But who knows? Mawile might be a sleeper pick now. Manectric got a pretty big moveset update a couple seasons ago, getting Overheat added to his move pool, which gives Manectric a lot of play versus like Galarian Stunfisk and Grass types, which is pretty unique for an electric type, but now it's also getting Psychic Fangs as a cheap move to go along with it. So I think this thing is going to be very fun, because you'll be able to like bait with Psychic Fangs and then hit like a Grass type or a Galarian Stunfisk with Overheat, which is pretty huge. Hammerupt will now learn Incinerate, which is a pretty wild moveset update. This won't change anything about Hammerupt. It already had Emberite, which, well, Incinerate really isn't that much of an improvement, so yeah, just forget about that one. It's not going to be that much better. Lopunny, though, is very interesting. Didn't really have any good moves before that, though. I think it has Tackle or Quick Attack, which also is getting buffed, so maybe Lopunny has some play next season. But also Double Kick, very high energy generating move, which helps a ton because Lopunny has Hyper Beam and Focus Blast, and also Fire Punch. So it has a quick move and 2 nuke moves. Lopunny is going to be a pretty interesting Pokemon to run, but because of its bulk, it's not going to be that great, but definitely fun in some limited metas. Swoobat will also probably stay in the limited metas. It's a psychic flying typing with like very average stats and average quick moves in Air Slash and Confusion. Previously it had like pretty expensive charge moves, but now it's also getting Psychic Fangs. We're getting Psychic Fangs on a lot of mons here, and well, it will definitely help Swoobat become a little better, but it's going to be far from meta in the open leagues, and I assume it's still going to struggle in the limited metas too, but it will definitely have some more play than it had. Next up, we got 2 fairy types that are going to learn Fairy Wind. I don't think it's going to have that much of an impact on Florges. It already has Vimeb as a fast move, which is pretty good, and its charge moves are mainly just Fairy. It is Disarming Voice, Moonblast, which are pretty decent, and then it has Petal Blizzard, which is a pretty bad grass charge move. So, do you really want to run Fairy Wind in addition to like 2 Fairy charge moves? I don't know. I think in a meta where Fairy is like OP, Florges might be one of the better Fairy types if you're not running Charm. But in general, I feel like Florges is still gonna prefer Vimeb, just because that's kind of what makes it unique. But we'll see. Slurpuff, however, we'll see some play of it, because Slurpuff has a very interesting moveset. It currently already has Charm, but it can also learn Flamethrower and Energy Ball. So it can really make good use of the Fairy Wind to spam out those grass and fire moves. Slurpuff will have a lot of play versus steel types because of it, but if you don't run Play Rough, which is his fairy charge move, you actually lose Altaria. So it's like, that's kind of the problem with Fairy Wind. If you don't have a fairy charge move in addition to it, you're actually gonna lose to some dragons. So Slurpuff will probably have a lot of play with Fairy Wind, Play Rough, and Flamethrower, I would assume, so you can beat Altaria, and you still have a lot of play versus steel types as well. Next up, we got Incineroar with Double Kick. Incineroar already had Snarl, which charges charge moves even faster than Double Kick, so I don't think it's gonna have a huge effect. However, with Double Kick, Incineroar does become a better dark answer, and in previous metas like Halloween Cup, I liked using Incineroar as kind of like a dark that beat the other dark, and Double Kick is gonna help a lot with that. So might have some play, but I doubt it's gonna have a ton of play. Next up, Golisopod will learn Shadow Claw, which is a slight buff to Golisopod's moveset. However, it's not gonna change that much, you know. Golisopod's still very, very glassy, and its charge moves are sad. It has X-Scissor, which is a decent bug charge move, but it also has Aerial Ace and Aqua Jet, which are just very, very bad. However, Golisopod with Shadow Claw is better than Fury Cutter, because with Shadow Claw it's actually able to beat Azumarill now, just slightly if you run Aerial Ace as well. Besides that, it can now beat Trevenant. It's actually better versus walrein now without Fury Cutter. So it definitely has more play, but they really need to give it more charge moves if they want to buff this thing. Next up, Nihilego is getting a huge buff, like a huge buff. Previously, it was basically running Acid as his fast move, which is very bad, but now Poison Jab is huge. Just a much, much better move, same typing, but now basically able to farm down Zacians completely, beats Ho-Oh, beats Lugia. However, don't feel bad if you didn't like raid Nihilego, because it's still not gonna be that good. You get absolutely walled by any steel type still, and ground type, since you're double weak to it. So Nihilego will be better, much better, but still not that good, I would imagine. But for those who did raid Nihilego, you should be happy, because getting a big buff both in PvP and in raids too, so it's not going to be a very good poison raid attacker, I guess. Then another big winner of this moveset update is Dubwool. It's going to learn Double Kick. Dubwool is pretty tanky, pure normal type, with some really good charge moves in Body Slam, Wild Charge, and Payback. And now it can finally make use of those charge moves with Double Kick. to get to them very, very quickly. This thing, I feel like, is definitely gonna be pretty good in the Open Great League. If not, it's gonna be very good in a limited meta in the future. Next up, Runerigus. They really saved the best for last, as this thing will be instant meta once the moveset update hits. Just like Cofagrigus, it's now getting Shadow Claw added to his moveset, which, well, combined with its bulk and Shadow Ball, which already has, will just make for an amazing Pokemon. Or also has Sand Tomb and Rock Tomb as potential like bait moves, running Sand Tomb, and just decent coverage as well. Those moves are nothing spectacular, but they're just a little extra and help Runerigus ton with beating Nidoqueen and Registeel running Sand Tomb, which is probably the move you wanna run. Just look at this improvement, alright? Runerigus against the Great League meta goes from winning 8 matches to 26 against the meta, which is just insane. It gains so many wins here. Now beats Araquanid, beats Jellicent, a load of Marowak, a load of Ninetales? Wait. Dude, this thing is a ground type. Wait, how does it beat... Dude, wait, it beats Powder Snow, a load of Ninetales? Even though you're a ground type? Wait, why is this not working? That's... Wait. What we got? I just figured this out. Where's Alola Knight? You must be baiting, right? You must be baiting. There's no way this is straight Shadow Ball. Wow, okay, that's with bait. That is with bait, but still. Wow. That's insane. That is insane. You don't get it straight Shadow Ball, of course. Maybe straight Rock Tomb you do. But you don't. Okay, with baiting, you can win that, but it's not gonna be like a very consistent Pokemon because of Sand Tomb, but it will have so much play, and it resists every move the standard Registeel can throw at it. It double resists Focus Blast, it double resists Zap Cannon. So you got a very good matchup there. You got a very good matchup versus Nidoqueen too. So overall, this thing is gonna be an absolute monster. Anyway, I gotta cut myself off right there, otherwise this video will become way too long. I could talk about this for hours, so definitely stay tuned for a lot of videos about these new movesets coming up, about the new season. Let me know what you are most excited about in the season in the comments below, or maybe anything you think they missed. I would love to hear your feedback. Thanks everyone, see you in the next video. Good luck with your battle stringers.